Buenos dias. How are we? Solar eclipse again, right? Not with urgency, but knowing that there are folk in the US who are thinking that the sun is going to go out tomorrow because of whatever reason, I decided to do this. I woke up this morning and thought, let's do this properly. Dear Epic Drew, I haven't checked any of my messages on any platforms this morning because I don't want any distractions, so I will check them after I have posted this, okay? I don't know if you've sorted out a live whatever, but just letting, I haven't checked any messages. I got up and am focused to do this, okay? Now, I am explaining this with the round Earth system, okay? It wouldn't be logical for me to find out how the flat Earth works and explain it like that. I have to explain it how I know, how I've been taught, how I think it was. Now I'm not so sure. I've made that quite clear as well. I'm explaining it using the round Earth system, okay? First of all, it's very important to know something about the solar eclipses, right? Now, I say this because a few weeks ago, I showed some solar eclipses. And Brian Cox, was it the Greek full solar eclipse? I think it was. At the end of it, he was amazed, yeah. And he said, just like Newton's predictions. Now, this is what it's like having a ding, bing. I dinged that. I didn't mean to, but I dinged it. I remembered it. And now I'm going to bring it up because this had nothing to do with any of Newton's predictions, okay? 1961. I was born in 1964. I know I'm older than Brian Cox, so he wasn't around either. 1961, the Book of Popular Science, okay? In this book, the solar eclipses in the 8th and 7th centuries BC, Chaldean astronomers discovered solar eclipses occur in a series, right? And they're called a saros. A saros will last 18 years and 11 1/3 days. If there are 5 leap years in a saros, that's every 4th, right? So if the beginning of a saros is in a leap year, then you have 10 1/3 days. So it'd be 10 1/3 days because of the leap year, all right? Now, there are up to 70 saroses in any series of solar eclipses. That's 1,250 years, 1,250 years. So that is how long a saros lasts, right? Now, that's, if it was Newton's idea, that 400-500 years ago, he would have been predicting eclipses wrongly, all right? Because it takes 1,250 years for one to fully play out. So nobody would know unless they've seen this amount play out. Now, the thing about this is, obviously, this wouldn't have been just one generation to work this out. This would have been a lot of generations which were passing the knowledge down. And when they were seeing an eclipse, so much time was passing between the next solar eclipse, and then it would be slightly different and slightly fuller and fuller and fuller and fuller every 18 and a bit years, right? And then at the smack bang in the middle, when it's a full solar eclipse, that is the beginning of the dwindling. So there'll be less sun covered, less. till finally, boom, the moon misses the sun altogether, right? So that's a series. Now, there are up to 49 Sarases in a series of lunar eclipses. And the reason for this is the Earth is bigger, but the moon is smaller to hit with the shadow. And apparently that's why it's just, look, it's a basic common sense and logic thing, okay? The moon will pass in between the sun and Earth more than the moon passes in between the moon and the sun, if you know what I mean, all right? It's not anything mysterious about this. So straight away, when Mr. Brian Cox said, just like Newton's predictions, that was wrong, okay? That was wrong. It had nothing to do with Newton. None of this has got anything to do with the people 300-400 years ago, right? This was worked out over a long time, thousands of years ago, right? And this again points to civilizations who have been around a lot longer than what we are being told, right? Now, I'm going to read a few bits out of this 1961 World of Popular Science. This is book number 3. Now, what I looked up in the index was eclipses, okay? And I came to eclipses, and there's a few things, right, that I'm going to read out because they need to be read out. Now, don't forget, folks, this is 1961, okay? This is the importance of books is going to be apparent right here because they are superseding the books. If we didn't have these, if I did not have these, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now. Even if I knew, how do you prove it, right? I have read this before, and I knew it was important, but now it's even more important. We're getting to the sharp end of the stick in the US being told that the sun is going to go out and to lock yourselves in the house. Hope you guys see this before that happens. It's Sunday here now, right? So in 12 hours or whatever, she's coming your way. There's nothing wrong with the sun. I guarantee you, there is nothing wrong with the sun. Right, the first thing I'm going to read is, are we ready? Inasmuch as eclipses of both the sun and the moon depend upon the regular movements of the sun, moon and earth, the occurrence of eclipses both in the past and in the future can be calculated with great accuracy. In the 1880s, that's when electricity first came out in Europe. For example, the Austrian astronomer Theodor Oppolzer published a book called the Catalogue of Eclipses, in which he gave tables of 8,000 solar eclipses and 5,200 lunar eclipses taking place between 1207 BC up to 2162 AD. So there is a calendar out already that has predicted solar eclipses all the way up until the year 2162. Now, there could be people who might say, how do you know that's true? I tell you how. It ties in with logic and common sense. It ties in with understanding that solar eclipse predictions had nothing to do with Newton, right? That's what a lot of this is about. A lot of people claiming knowledge that cannot be known, right? I've always said that, and I stick by what I say. Now, and in the case of solar eclipses, he indicated the areas of the Earth from which the eclipses would be visible. By consulting Oppolzer's tables, we find, for instance, that on February the 26th, 1979, a total eclipse of the sun lasting 2 minutes and 42 seconds will take place, and that it will be visible in various areas in the United States, Canada, and the North Polar Sea. To make his predictions, Oppolzer had to be able to calculate the relative positions of the sun, moon, and earth for any given time in the period that extended from 1207 BC to 2162 AD, right? Right, no, let's forget that. Let's go on. Are we ready? Now, somebody predicted it was, I don't know, it's kind of doesn't really matter, right? Perhaps the most famous of these early predictions was that of Thales, a philosopher of Miletus, right? He predicted a solar eclipse to happen, and there was a war going on, right? And this guy predicted it because he knew the tables. He knew when the next one was. So he mentioned it before this war started, and during the war, it happened. So everybody was like, whoa, like, because it freaks people out. It has been freaking people out since forever. Superstition is added to it, and it's happening right now, isn't it? Not with the solar eclipse, but with the winter solstice, when the sun is at its furthest from the US. You cannot mess, you cannot tamper with the sun's light, I don't think, okay? That would be a good trick. Only a god could do that. And I don't lean that way because of logic and common sense. I haven't seen anything that would suggest some ultimate force out there. I've witnessed a lot of people saying that they're working for this all ever powerful force that is somewhere out there, but right, so here we go. They had noticed that eclipses of the sun and moon occur in series, and that a definite period of time elapses between one eclipse of a series and the following eclipse. By calculating the time that had passed since the last solar eclipse in a series of this sort, Thales had no difficulty in predicting the time when the next eclipse of the series would take place. So, all it is, you guys had that eclipse in the US, was it last year? 2024, April 2024? Last year, I think. Now, where you had that eclipse, the way it played out, the full solar eclipse, in 18 years, we're going to obviously work with the not in a leap year, that first one. In 18 years and 11 1/3 days, that moon will be covering the sun again. But it was a full solar eclipse. So the next time it happens, it will be slightly further. It will be slightly over. Meaning that it will miss a little sliver of the sun. So the next, in 18 years, 11 1/3 days, everybody who's in between Mexico and northeast Canada, that eclipse, it's a series, and it's going to happen again. But because it was a full solar eclipse, it's already it's bang in the middle of the series. It's a full solar eclipse. So the next one will probably happen as the moon comes across. There'll be a tiny sliver of the sun still visible. It won't be a full solar eclipse, and it will carry on. And then 18 years, 11 1/3 days after that one, bang, it will happen again in that spot, but there will be a little bit more of the sun that will be uncovered. And that happens. And then 18 and something years, again, in the same spot, but there'll be more of the sun uncovered. And that just keeps going on and on and on until there'll come a year when the sun stays, like the moon just misses the sun because of the eclipse, because of the angles of the axis spin, us, the moon, just everything. Now, this is really difficult to argue with, right? This was printed in 1961. So what would be interesting to know is, where was it that said there will be a solar eclipse? Was it in 1979? There you go. Printed in 1961, right? There's not going to be many chances. Too many people being able to work this stuff out because of our lifespan. This stuff has been worked out over thousands of years, right? So printed in 1961, and it says on February the 20th, 1979, right? A total eclipse of the sun lasting for 2 minutes and 42 seconds will take place United States, Canada, and North Polar Sea. That was printed in 1961. That's 18 and a bit years before the next one. So, how would we know? Did it happen? Right? In fact, we could probably backtrack and find out that could it be the same one in that series that happened in the US? 1979, 89, 99, that brings it down to 98. 16, no. That would be one that happened in 2016. So if anybody can remember a solar eclipse that happened in 2016 that involved the US and Canada going up to the north, it would have been in a series that had been running for ages. Series can run together as well. So that's obviously two. You can have that solar eclipse that the US saw in 18 and a bit years. It will happen again, but the angles will be slightly different. And there will be solar eclipses happening here maybe this year. Like, you can have loads running at the same time, but every single one of them is in a series. And you can work out the ones that were before, because it's 18 years, 11 days, or 18 years, 11.3 days, basically, and you can work out future ones. Newton, nothing to do with Newton, right? This stuff has been known for thousands of years. It's not the Brady Bunch of the scientific revolution. Those people, a lot's fiction. I'm telling you people, a lot is fiction, right, of what is being told. Now, where are we? Right, by calculating the time that had passed since the last solar eclipse in a series of this sort, Thales had no difficulty in predicting the time when the next eclipse of the series would take place. The interval between an eclipse of the sun or moon and the next one in a given series is called a saros. This is what I've written, but I'm just going to read it now, so you know, it is what it is. A Greek word derived from the Assyrian-Babylonian sharu. Each saros is 18 years and 11 1/3 days long, or 18 years and 10 1/3 days long if there are 5 leap years instead of 4 in a saros. That means the very, very, very first eclipse of the series, where people go, oh look, there's the sun. The moon's just cut a bit of the sun off, but that'll be it. And 18 years, 11 days, or 11 1/3 days later, it will happen again, but a little bit more of the sun will be covered up, and off it goes. And then 18 years, 11 days, more of the sun, and that just keeps going and going and going until finally, bang, you get the full solar eclipse. And that can happen, it can take 625 years from the beginning of a series to the middle. I say 625 because at 1250, that's how long the whole thing lasts. So from the very first instant that moon covers the sun a little bit, you have 1,250 years for the whole series to run through. That's a bit more covered up, the sun a bit more covered up, then bang, full solar eclipse, and then the opposite way. It just misses, like a little bit showing, tiny bit of the sun showing, then 18 years, a bit more, then a bit more, boom, 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 till finally the moon will come, and just because of our orbits and the way everything is pointed, the angles, the moon will just miss the sun. And that's the series finished. It runs in series, right? This is nothing to do with Newton or anybody else in this era. This was worked out thousands of years ago by people who had freaking good observational skills, because, I mean, how long would you be doing this to realize? Like, in my lifetime, I could have maybe seen, the maximum I could have ever seen is 3. 3 of a series. 18 years, 18 years, 18 years. That's 54 years, right? For me to see 6, that's 18 and a bit times 4, isn't it? That's 72, 73, 74. So 73 and 74-year-olds right now are the only people on this planet who would have ever witnessed 4 eclipses of the same series, because they take that long to happen. 18 years, 11 and a bit days. It sounds pretty, it just makes sense, okay? And from everything that I've seen, it does. Now, again, the flat earthers, I am not saying that we're round. What I am explaining is the solar eclipse series, how it works, how it's been documented in a book in 1961, and I would go over it on the board as well, okay? Now, I'm sure I've seen the flat earth people with the maps, the flat maps and the ice wall, everything. I presume that there will be an explanation somewhere for exactly the same. Now that we know that they happen in series, well, there should be a logical solution for how it could work with a flat earth. All right, so I'm not saying, this is not me, this has got nothing to do with flat or round, okay? You should know that by now. This is me explaining the stuff as I have been taught and showing where the lies obviously are, all right? Now, where are we? Each Saros is 18 and 11, yeah, we've done that. A given series of solar eclipses may run through as many as 70 Saroses, right? So that's 70 times 18 years. There's your 625, or it'll be thereabouts. So it's crazy. That's how long it takes to work this stuff out. And it makes sense. And then there's a little piece in here which also makes sense, right? They're saying now that even though the calculation's been worked out so long ago, what they're finding is you can work it down to the second, but it's happening a few seconds later, right? Not because of a light delay, no, but they reckon because of the tides are slowing. But we're talking, it's so minute that you don't detect it, right? But it's like the butterfly effect, isn't it? They say that the tides, look, again, I'm going on like it's a round system. I'm explaining it like I know how, okay? Right, so a typical series of solar eclipses, right? Oh, there we go, I've done that bit. Right, now, there's the bit that I wanted to read. So I've got to read here, right. Bailey's beads, right? As the eclipse approaches totality, the sun is seen as a very narrow crescent of brilliant light. The crescent then becomes a curved line and finally breaks off into irregular beads of light, known as Bailey's beads, after the English astronomer Francis Baily. The beads are caused by irregularities in the outline of the moon, as seen in the silhouette, right? Now this is to do with the speed of light. Silhouette. Irregularities due to lunar mountains and valleys. So what is happening, those beads, it's the moon, as it just covers the sun, there's that brief moment when you can, with a telescope, you're right up to the moon, you can see the sun behind the beads in real time. It's absolute light. You're not seeing Bailey's beads because of photons that have been traveling for 8 minutes and 20 seconds. It's illogical. The beads are seen because they are overlapping the light source. There is no delay. It's absolute light, right? This is, again, it's just 100% evidence that there is no light delay. If you can see a light source anywhere, you're seeing it live. You're seeing it because it is powerful enough to reach your eyesight. No, it is powerful enough for your eyesight to detect where it is. We do not wait for photons. The grass is green. I don't wait for photons to bounce off of the grass and hit my retinas, because there are no photons. It's absolute light. Right, the beads are caused by irregularities. The sun's rays pass through the valleys but are obscured by the mountains, right? Don't get excited. It's not the sun's rays that have been traveling for 8 minutes and 20 seconds. It's the sun. It is being blocked by the moon in real time. And in that real time, you can see the outline of the moon as it covers the sun. And the sun then turns into the corona that is around the moon. And in that moment, according to the science, the Mickey Mouse science, people are standing. People are standing on planet Earth, looking up. So we've got the moon, and that's the sun's corona, okay? Smack bang behind the moon. People are looking up at the moon, they see the sun's corona. What we're being told is somewhere here, there is a delay of 8 minutes and 20 seconds. But it's illogical. It doesn't make sense. Because people, you're standing in the shadow that is being cast by the moon, right? Because it has blocked the light source. The light source is visible directly behind the moon. So you're standing in that shadow at the very same time as you're seeing the light source that radiated that light, right? It's one and the same. If the sun goes out in this second right here, bang, dark and cold. It's not going to be 8 minutes and 20 seconds, and then people in that sweet spot, well, it would have already moved, but you know what I'm saying. It's highly illogical, common sense or not, to think that it takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds for light, for photons to reach us. It's highly illogical, and it defies common sense and logic to believe that the sun behind that moon, that sun here, takes 4.6 seconds to radiate its light the distance of its diameter. 4.6 seconds. Listen, science or not, that should ring alarm bells. It's ridiculous. A star taking, I'm not going to say it, I'm in a good mood, good start to the day. Let's not talk about that one because it does my head in. Right, now, so you now know where the calculations came from. The people who did this thousands of years ago, right? There is, in 18 something, there was already a calendar that spanned 2,000 years, more than 2,000 years forward and 2,000 back, right? Because the Chaldean, the Babylonian or something, right? They, over many generations, just obviously somebody kept record after you've got 1, 2, so after 36 years, or no, after 18 years, anybody who was paying attention, hey look, that sun's just been slightly covered up by the moon. 18 years and a few days later, happens again, a little bit more. Right there, you don't have a proper direction, because 2 points in anything doesn't mean a thing. It doesn't mean a thing, because the next point could be going anywhere. That could be a coincidence. But when you've got 3, you've got yourself an approximate direction. When you've got 4, that's 18, 36, 72 years, you've got 4. And anybody who's been paying attention, like the dad picked up his dad's notes and he passed away, and then he's like, shit, Dad did say that, look, that's the 5th one. And then bang, bang, generations, and then the next generation, and then maybe it would have been proper records somewhere, and they just carried it on. And it takes 1250 years for a complete one to happen. So, Mr. Brian Cox, you were wrong when you said exactly the same as Newton predicted. No, nothing to do with Newton. Nothing at all to do with Newton. Right. Now, once again, right? This has been what I've always said, and it is what has made me. I just know for a fact that the light radiating from the sun is absolute. These freaking flies. When, as observed from the sweet spot on planet Earth, okay, the sun is directly behind the moon. So how is it possible that, what is it? There's nothing anybody could ever tell me to convince me that that light isn't absolute. It doesn't matter who tells me or how many times. The people saying that are obviously slightly confused. There is no mistaking what is happening during a freaking solar eclipse, is there? You are watching the moon come in front of the sun in real time. We know it's real time because you can see the sun's corona around the moon. And everything is in a perfect straight line. You cannot have the sun a distance, if it is correct, of 150 million. If it is round, I am explaining, you know that, what I'm saying when I say it's round, I'm not. I'm explaining as I know how. You cannot have all of these things perfectly in line if there is a delay of 8 minutes and 20 seconds because planet Earth is spinning on its axis. It cannot be. This is the bit where when you teach children something over and over and over and over, it sticks. And it's stuck that much that a lot of people are having trouble with the basics. We could even say of geometry, couldn't we? The science has skipped loads of the basic stuff and gone straight to the speed of light, and it's blowing everybody's mind with the speed of light. And if somebody travelled at the speed of light for X amount of years and somebody stayed here, that person would age. What a load of rubbish. How is anybody ever going to know that? And I tell you what, it all starts with 299,792,458 meters per second. Speed of light. It's wrong. Every single equation that has ever had that numbering for the speed of light, C, is wrong. There is no such thing as a light year either, because light is absolute. The reason you are seeing the stars in the night sky is because they are powerful enough to reach. No, they are powerful enough to be detected by your eyesight. That's why you're seeing them. There's no other reason. Light hasn't travelled after the fact and taken 4.2 years from Proxima Centauri, for example. It's rubbish. We are seeing light sources exactly where they are, flat Earth or round Earth, right? Light is absolute. There is no delay. There is no delay. That means relativity is wrong. That means communications to space is wrong. That means the 15-minute gap between us and Mars when they're talking to Ingenuity, for example, depending where we are in our orbits around the sun, is wrong. It's made up. Listen, this one, this solar eclipse one, the cosmic event that every single person on this planet at one time or other will witness, or has already witnessed, there is no mistaking what is happening. It doesn't matter anyone tells you, does it, to believe. I mean, the arguments I've seen for 8 minutes and 20 seconds, it's unbelievable, right? But I know what's happening. I know the mindset. I know what's at stake. It's confronting, right? You've been lied to, and nobody likes being lied to, right? And there is a pride thing. How did I fall for that? Listen, that needs to get dropped, because it's important that the children of tomorrow don't start with this relativity lie, right? Because it is horseradish. Relativity is the light delay. The light delay is relativity. That light delay, speed of light, is also a buffer for talking to people on Mars and further away, because it is finite. They say it travels forever. It does not travel forever. If you're within range, you see the light. You see the light source itself. You cannot move away from it and get out of range of it and expect to see the light from that light source at a later date. It's illogical. It defies logic and common sense. For those of you in the US who think the sun is going to go out because of whatever superstition, guys, it isn't. It isn't. This stuff is taught to the children early, right? And it's hammered home until it's hammered home. And then this happens. Half of the US, not half of the US, but by the sounds of it, there's freaking tens of thousands of people, and they're telling you to not look up at the sky, to lock your freaking doors, and to not answer to anybody who knocks. Guys, really? Can you not see where the problem is? Right. I will post this on all 5 social media platforms, and then I'll check my messages, because I did not want to be influenced by anything until I'd done this morning. And I think we are done. It's about believing what is in front of your eyes. And believe you me, a solar eclipse, everybody can see the same thing at the same time. It isn't possible for a solar eclipse to take place with Mickey Mouse photons. They do not exist. Absolute light. That's the only way a solar eclipse can play out. It's basic common sense. And that, unfortunately or fortunately, drop kicks, bang, 120 years of Mickey Mouse science. It has been lied about to be able to control people in another way, the age of the universe. No. Everything's been worked out with 299,792 kilometers per second. It's wrong. Stars in the night sky, they're telling you that the stars are not there. They are. You don't think that is worth bringing up at your next science convention? These are the lies that humanity has been fed. This is a big one. Speed of light, age of the universe, stars. Relativity. Never did like it. It's obvious it's horseradish. It's hocus pocus. It's mind-altering, reality-altering stuff. And it's a lie, okay? So, happy Sunday. Science Sunday. That's a wrap, innit? All right, folks. I'll be back.